July 25, 1943. For over 2 decades, the iron fist of fascism had clamped itself around the throat of Italy. Benito Mussolini, self-proclaimed Il Duce, ruled as an absolute dictator, promising to restore the glory of the ancient Roman Empire. But on this warm summer night in Rome, that grand illusion dissolved into history. Following weeks of catastrophic Axis defeats in Sicily and mounting unbearable internal pressure, Mussolini's own inner circle did the unthinkable. The Grand Council of Fascism turned against its leader. In a dramatic vote of no confidence, they stripped him of his power. Within hours, the dictator was dismissed by the king, escorted into an ambulance, and placed under arrest. This shocking coup signaled the sudden, spectacular collapse of the fascist regime. Across Italy, citizens tore down statues, ripped up party badges, and celebrated in the streets. But while the dictator had fallen, Italy's nightmare was far from over. The collapse of the regime was just the opening act of a chaotic new tragedy that would turn the Italian peninsula into one of the bloodiest battlegrounds of World War II.
Do you understand how a dictator who seemed so completely immovable could be toppled in a single night? We must analyze the internal collapse of the fascist government. By the summer of 1943, Mussolini's grand promises of imperial conquest had turned to ash. The devastating total loss of Italy's armies in North Africa, coupled with the heartbreaking destruction of Italian divisions on the Eastern Front in Russia, had broken the country's military back. The breaking point arrived on July 10th, when Allied forces successfully invaded Sicily. For the first time in the war, Western armies were standing directly on sovereign Italian soil. The fascist elite realized with absolute clarity that Mussolini was leading the nation to total, irreversible ruin. Food shortages were rampant, factories were striking, and Allied bombers were regularly hammering Rome itself. Led by political heavyweights like Dino Grandi, a faction within the Grand Council decided that removing Il Duce was the only available choice to decouple Italy from Adolf Hitler, save the monarchy, and salvage the nation's remaining future. When the council met on the night of July 24th, Mussolini expected subservience. Instead, after 19 hours of fierce, angry debate, they passed a resolution returning military command to the king, effectively sealing the dictator's political doom.
The dramatic arrest of Benito Mussolini was only the start of an incredibly chaotic and dangerous transition of power. With the dictator secretly imprisoned in a succession of remote mountain locations, King Victor Emmanuel III moved quickly to fill the political vacuum, appointing the veteran Marshal Pietro Badoglio to lead a new, non-fascist military government. The monarchy played a calculating role in the coup, using the Grand Council's vote as a legal shield to discard Mussolini while attempting to preserve their own grip on power. On the surface, Badoglio publicly proclaimed that Italy would remain loyal to its Axis alliance with Germany. But behind the scenes, a frantic, highly dangerous scramble was underway to open secret diplomatic channels with the Allied forces to negotiate a separate peace. The Italian leadership found themselves caught in a terrifying trap. They needed to surrender to the Allies to stop the bombing and devastation of their cities, but they had to do so without alerting Adolf Hitler, who was already deeply suspicious of his partner's sudden removal. Rome became a city wrapped in fear, suspicion, and complete uncertainty, trapped in a delicate limbo between a dead dictatorship and an impending invasion.
The fall of Mussolini had immediate, earth-shattering consequences for the Axis alliance and the entire trajectory of World War II. Adolf Hitler was not fooled by Badoglio's promises of loyalty. The moment news of Mussolini's arrest reached Berlin, the German High Command executed long-prepared contingency plans. They poured hundreds of thousands of battle-hardened troops across the Alps, initiating a rapid, ruthless German occupation of northern and central Italy. When Italy's secret surrender to the Allies was finally made public in September, the country collapsed into absolute chaos. The king and Badoglio fled Rome in the middle of the night, leaving the Italian army without orders. German forces quickly disarmed and captured over 500,000 Italian soldiers, treating their former allies as traitors. Mussolini himself was soon rescued by daring German commandos and installed as a puppet ruler over a brutal, Nazi-controlled puppet state in the north. The fall of the dictator did not bring the promised peace. Instead, it guaranteed the continuation of the war on Italian soil, transforming the picturesque towns and mountains of Italy into a meat grinder front line that would claim hundreds of thousands of lives over the next 2 years.
The arrest and downfall of Benito Mussolini on July 25, 1943, stands as a pivotal, textbook moment that completely reshaped the global map of World War II.
It proved to the world that even the most deeply rooted, heavily policed totalitarian regimes are profoundly fragile from within when their military adventures end in disaster. As we look back at the chaotic collapse of fascist Italy from the safety of modern history, how do you assess the raw influence of internal political pressure on the ultimate outcome of a global conflict? Can an internal coup ever successfully save a nation from the consequences of its own aggressive foreign policy? Or is total collapse simply inevitable? We want to hear your analytical insights and unique perspectives, so please share your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you found this comprehensive historical breakdown valuable, please hit that like button, share this video with a fellow history enthusiast, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another deep dive into the epic world-shaping moments of our past. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.